Hey guys, well, it is Monday, the week of Christmas, which means it's 4 more sleeps until Christmas. And I know that Christmas this year looks so different for all of us, but I really believe that I have something to share with you that I hope is a blessing with you today. I even dressed up for you because it's Christmas week, put something red on to make you feel festive. And I know right now many of us are having a very different Christmas week. We had our plans change even within the UK and across the country in the last 48 hours. News that the government are now making more restrictions, make plans change again. I know some will be on the front line this Christmas helping others are shielding this Christmas. It looks different, and I guess that's why I really believe that I want to speak this word into you and over you today, because I think when it comes to Christmas, and especially the Christmas story, there are so many aspects we can consider. You know, we can look at the Christmas story and we can see the awe and the wonder that was in the Christmas story. I mean, the moments when Mary pondered in her heart this news that she'd read. We can see when they come and see the Savior in the manger and they bow down and the wise men bring gifts, the awe and the wonder in that moment. We can see that in the Christmas story. We can see in the Christmas story from the shepherd's journey and the wise man's journey and all of these people that are making the journey. We can see in the Christmas story that the peace message and the hope message, all of that is wrapped up in the Christmas story. But I really want to pull something out of the Christmas story that maybe you haven't seen, but it is there, and I believe it's there for us to grab a hold of, especially this year. You know, and that is, I want you to see within the Christmas story is the story of courage. Courage. And I'm praying that by the time I'm finished talking to you in the next few moments, you're going to receive courage for Christmas. Because actually, when you think about it, without the courageous acts of all those that are involved in the Christmas story, it wouldn't have been able to play out in the way it did. You know, think about it. From Mary receiving a message from an angel. I mean, that angel must have freaked her out. And we know that she had these feelings of fear because the angel said in the opening comments, "Do not fear." You don't tell someone not to fear if they're fearless. And so clearly this shock of the angel, but then for her to believe that she was going to be overshadowed by the Spirit and she was going to conceive a child that would be called Jesus, that would become the Savior, that she was going to carry this King inside of her. Mary that came from a background that wasn't noble or grand. I'm telling you, it would have taken courage for her to say, "Let it be." For her to say to that angelic message, "I am all in and I'm going to do this." That took great courage from this young woman. What about Joseph? Joseph, who receives the word that his plan that he had is not going to look the way it was going to look. He had to have courage to face the people that he would have to face. Courage to take Mary with him on this journey. Courage to believe that God's hand was on the future that he now was beginning to just barely understand. What about the wise men? The wise men who set off on a journey to find this baby that had been born. The wise men that were following this star. But don't forget, the wise men were called in by Herod. And Herod told them, when you find this baby, you come and tell me where this baby is. Because Herod had a plan to kill the babe. And the wise men, when they saw Jesus, they knew they could not return the way they came. It would take courage for them to make a decision that was disobeying the king. But at the sight of this baby, which was the King of Kings, they knew they had to have courage and do what was right. What about the courage that got Mary on the donkey? It wasn't comfort on that donkey that rode her to Bethlehem. It wasn't comfort as she was heavily pregnant on the back of that mule that got her to Bethlehem. It was courage for them to journey on the roads that they journey night and day, to journey in a way that was not comfortable for them, but took courage for them to do. I'm sure they had so many questions that they wanted to ask one another on the journey, but it was courage that kept them going. It was courage to knock at the door of the inn and ask for room, only to find there was no room. So it took courage to knock at the next door and then the next door until they found a place that was a stable. And what about in the stable? When the baby was born, it took courage to deliver this child that they knew was like no other child, just them on their own in a stable with a manger. The courageous actions of all of those people is in the Christmas story that we read about. And I just want to say to you, maybe the best gift for you this Christmas is to discover that courage for yourself. The definition of courage in the dictionary is to face uncertainty. It's to have the willingness to move forward in times of fear and adversity. If ever there was a time of uncertainty, or if ever there was a time where there is fear in the atmosphere, it is right now. It is this Christmas 2020. When there's so much uncertainty about the future. Will we be COVID free in the next few months? Will I ever get my job back? Will I ever get back into life like I'm used to? Will I get to see my friends and family in the new year? So many things that are uncertain. And it says in the dictionary that courage faces uncertainty with a willingness and a tenacity. And maybe the best thing for you to understand is that you can be courageous this Christmas. You can have the courage to believe that it's going to work out. You can have the courage in the face of adversity to know that God is in control. Because when that baby was born, courage arrived. The courage that was within that Savior, for he would have the courage to face the cross itself. He would have the courage to face death itself. He would have the courage to take on your sin and your shame. He had the courage so that we therefore could have a courage within us. For the Christmas story tells us in Matthew 1 verse 6 that this child would be Emmanuel, God with us. And I know we looked at that last week, but let me remind you, that means that you don't have to fear, for courage is with you. The most courageous King is in you. The most courageous Savior is in you. All throughout the story of Jesus and the disciples, he would say over and over again when they faced uncertainty, take courage, do not fear. And I want to speak that over you today, this Christmas week. I know the feelings of anxiety may be upon you. I know the sense of loneliness may be very near to some of you. I know for others, the confusion and the uncertainty is about to rob you of the joy of what this week represents. And I want to step in the gap and encourage you today. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't allow discouragement to come in over this holiday season, but instead, my friend, take courage. You know, it's kind of like the journey of the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, right? He thought he needed to go and see the wizard to get courage, but he discovered on the way that the courage he looked for and the courage he was seeking was already inside of him. Friends, the courage you need is already inside of you. His name is Jesus. His name is the Prince of Peace. His name, as it says in Isaiah, is the Wonderful Counselor. His name is the Everlasting God. His name is Almighty. His name is your joy and your provider. His name is hope. His name is Jesus. And that is why we can have courage this Christmas. So, whatever you were planning, however you were downscaling, have the courage to rejoice. Some of you just need a good old laugh this Christmas. You just need to have joy this Christmas. You need to put on a funny movie or Zoom one of your funny friends and just say, you know what? I need joy this Christmas. Some of you just need to hope again, like we've talked about this Christmas. Some of you just need the courage to face the uncertainty of the year ahead and say, you know what? It's going to be okay. Because even though I don't know what's going to happen, I know who's with me in what's going to happen. So friend, be courageous. In your own sweet way, be courageous. Mary was courageous in her own sweet way. You don't have to have a superhero cape to be courageous. Mary simply was obedient, and her obedience was her courage. You know, for Joseph, he made a plan that was different to his original plan, and that was his courage in action. For the wise men, then they said, we're not going to bow down to Herod. We're going to bow down to the King of Kings. And their defiance at what they knew was wrong was their courage in that moment. For the shepherds who were fearful at the announcement from an angel, it was their journey to say, we're going to go and find this baby that has been born. That was their courage. Your courage can look like many different things. And so whatever it looks like, whether it's the sweet obedience of a Mary, whether it's the journey of a Joseph, whether it's the defiance and the seeking the right king of the wise men, whatever it looks like, take courage, my friend. Listen, some of you didn't think you'd make it this far this year, and you have. So take courage. You know, some of you were like, I just don't know if I'll get through it, and you did. Take courage. And I'm sending you all my love this Christmas. Just enjoy. I know it looks different, but enjoy. You know, one of the girls in my world, she had got news she couldn't see her family when she planned all along to see them. And you know what she did? She got dressed up anyway. She put her best earrings on anyway. She put her makeup on anyway. And she said, I'm just going to celebrate anyway, because our feelings will lead us to fear and they'll lead us to anxiety. But courage in the face of all of that stuff remembers that we have Christ within us, and therefore joy is here, hope is here, peace is here. Unwrap Christmas. Unwrap all the layers that are in Christmas. Unwrap the layer of his joy. Unwrap the layer of his goodness. Unwrap the layer of his kindness. Unwrap the layer of his peace. And unwrap the layer of courage. This Christmas, I pray that you would choose to be courageous, my friend. Have a courageous Christmas. Sending all my love from our family to yours. Eat lots of food, eat too many mince pies, wear stretchy pants, and just enjoy. Laugh. Kiss under the mistletoe if you have someone to kiss under the mistletoe. Make memories with your kids. Set a beautiful table, even if it's just for you. Set a table and light a candle and just enjoy, because we all received the most beautiful, amazing, wonderful gift. All of us did. We received the most amazing gift, and that gift is still being given this Christmas. The gift of a Savior. So my friend, I'm praying. I pray blessing over you. I pray that favor of God would shine upon you. I pray peace would surround you. I pray that joy would bubble up on the inside of you. I pray that the Almighty would overshadow you. And I pray that you have the most beautiful, courageous, fantastic Christmas. I've loved being with you all of this year. I'll be with you again next week, one more before the year ends. But I love you guys. You're the best. Have a fabulous Christmas from our home to you. Mwah. Merry Christmas.